Today's presentation is going to cover a number of topics that revolve around the new Proven OnSite application. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about the customer experience and the origins of where this feature and functionality has come from. We're going to go through a complete walkthrough of the application and how it works. Once that walkthrough is completed, I'll go back through and talk a little bit about the setup and the steps that you need to take in order to turn this functionality on and use it. And then we'll cover all the different alerts and SMS messages, how they communicate with PJM and the customer, as well as being able to gather survey results and details on our employees and their overall performance. We'll then end today's session with Q&A, allowing customers and attendees to ask questions freely about today's content. Now, around this time, about last year, we had sat down with the user group and really asked them, what is it that you'd like to see as far as the direction of PSA moving forward, both, in the web and on the mobile. And, one of the feedbacks that we got and had a presentation revolving around really touched on this idea of the customer experience. And for those of you who aren't aware of what the customer experience is as it pertains to technology and to your businesses, are the different touch points or interactions that we have with our customer throughout the entire process that we interact with them from a business to customer relationship. Now, each of these touch points are made up of different types of communications and interactions that we have, whether those are phone calls, emails, text messages, interactions face-to-face that we have on site and in person. And the overall experience that the customer takes away at the end of this is made up of all of those different touch points. And the reality of it is today that it only takes one negative touch point for our customer to have a bad experience or a bad review that goes against our company and our people. So the idea of Proven OnSite and some of the changes that we've made to the mobile and the web are about getting better information on each interaction touch point that we have with our customer. Now, Proven OnSite is really made up of three core elements that we're going to be covering in today's walkthrough. And the first is really about setting proper expectations, not only with the customer, but with our team as far as when we're going to be interacting with our client through alerts and updates, as well as notifications that can come in through PJM and through our mobile. The second piece is the communication aspect, which a lot of us today communicate with our phones, whether that's through direct phone calls or text messages. We're starting to see this shift in technology as far as how we are evolving those communication practices where people are not checking emails anymore, but they're more likely to look at a text message or answer a phone call directly. And the last piece of this is that all of these interactions that we're having, we want to be able to gather meaningful feedback throughout the course of our job and throughout the course of our relationship with that customer so that we can identify if there was a negative interaction or if there was an issue that happened prior to getting to that review stage and really being able to head on tackle those issues with the customer as they come up so that we can resolve them before they start to snowball. Now for today's walkthrough, I've asked my lovely assistant, Deb Thomas, to be our customer in this situation. And we're going to be walking through this presentation where I'll be our technician and Deb, you'll be our customer in this situation. And so getting started, I'm going to just simply start by coming in here and creating a brand new job. Now, keep in mind, some of the things that we're going to be talking about with this new application will require some additional settings and functionality to be turned on in order to utilize these functions properly. And we'll go through those after our walkthrough. In this case, I've got a phone call that has come in from a new customer that I'm simply going to enter into our system. So Deb, you called into our office with a water loss, and I'm simply going to bring in your information here, which is our name and address. I'm going to indicate the type of loss that this is, and two pieces of critical information that I'm going to need to capture from you up front is going to need to be your mobile number and your email. And the reason that these pieces are significant is that the mobile number allows us to communicate seamlessly with our customer without having them to create a login or have to set up an account in order for this communication to happen. And likewise, I myself as a technician will also need to make sure that I've set up my profile in order to receive messages back from the customer into our system. So I'm going to simply come in here, and before I actually create this job, I'm going to let Deb know that, Deb, we're going to send a technician on site for you today. And prior to them leaving our office, you're going to receive a text message letting you know that our technician is on the way. Is that okay?
Excellent.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to set up this job, and you'll be hearing from our technician shortly. Now, fast forward into our mobile app, and one of the first changes that you're going to notice in our new mobile update is that when I go into my jobs list, the job that I just created for Deb for our water emergency has not yet made it into my list to choose from. You will now notice a refresh button that sits at the top part of my screen that will actually allow us to bring in jobs directly from the job management system. And as soon as my sync completes, you'll now see our Deb Thomas job, water emergency, sitting at the top of my list. Now, the next thing you're going to notice is as soon as I click on my job info, you'll notice that the information screen looks a little bit different than what we remember. In here, there's now a whole new section for our Proven OnSite alerts. And as a good technician, I'm going to clock into my job first to indicate that I've actually started working on Deb's job, but I haven't actually left to Deb's job site to start that work. So I can load up my truck and equipment and make sure that I have everything that I need before I start my on-site travel. In here, to indicate to our customer that I'm headed on my way, I simply click the Start Travel button, and it will send a message to Deb alerting her that I, Ryan Pritchard, am on my way to their job site. And it will come along with a link that says, click here to view Ryan's driving progress. Now, Deb, if you would be so kind as to click that link, it'll take you to our Proven OnSite page, allowing you to see me, the technician, along with our company logo and an ETA on how far away I am from that job site. Now, the nice part about this is once Deb receives that text message from me, as a customer, she can send me a message back, and I can look at what Deb needs from me as a technician. As I jump into my phone, it'll let me know that I have a new message from our customer. And when it loads up the page, this is what Deb will see when she jumps in. So here's my photo, company logo, ETA on how far away I am, and it'll actually show my technician truck driving towards Deb's job site. In addition to this, there's a text me box at the top that lets Deb text me some information, something that a typical customer would say, like, how far away are you? Or how come you're not at the job site yet? And I can come in here and text back to Deb any sort of message that I want. In this case, I'll just say, on my way. Short, simple, and sweet. And of course, you can see that in here, my texts are indicated with the black background and Deb's texts are indicated with the blue background. And so now that I've sent Deb my text message to let her know that I'm on the way, I'll simply move back into the app and continue driving to our job site. Now, of course, during this time, I have access to coming in here and adding my photos, my notes, and my forms while I'm traveling to that site. Of course, I don't recommend doing that while you're driving. Once I've showed up on site, simply letting the customer know that I've arrived is as easy as clicking a button and telling the system that I've arrived on site. Now, of course, Deb will get another alert from me.
Already received.
Perfect. And she can let me know if there's a specific entrance I need to go into or a lockbox code or garage code, so that as I arrive on site, if there's any additional context that I need from Deb, she'll be able to text that to my phone and I'll get alerted as soon as that text message is received. And again, the beauty of this communication back and forth is that Deb did not have to log into a system to text me. She didn't have to go through any sort of web portal. She simply clicked the link from the text message that she sent, and we were able to now communicate back and forth seamlessly. Now, from this point, obviously I'm going to go onto my job site and I'm going to do the work. So I can come here, I can put in my notes, I can upload my photos. And when I'm finished for my on-site appointment, I simply come in here and indicate to Deb that I've completed said appointment and that I'm finished my on-site for today. What this is going to send to Deb is it's going to send another alert letting her know that I've completed my task and giving Deb the opportunity to rate my performance, not on the overall job, but just on our interactions together today. And so she can give me a 0 to 5-star rating, as well as give me some comments or feedback on our overall experience. Once this information has been gathered, I'll actually be able to come back into our job and I'll be able to bring up our job notes. And every interaction that we've had, whether it's me telling Deb that I'm on site traveling to her house, or whether it's the text message that Deb sent me or the response that I gave, all of these now become log notes in the system, including the feedback that Deb gave me as far as our 5-star interaction and review. And again, I didn't have to do anything in order for this information to come back into PJM. As soon as those interactions happen, we get instant audibility on all of those alerts and text messages. And for those users that are using our Proven CRM, it'll also give them the ability to look up this information in the job feedback section. So again, they'll have access from the CRM to see how those interactions transpired. And an added bonus will also allow them to get average ratings for each one of their employees. So now I can start to see every interaction I've had with a customer and how that affects my employee rating overall in the system. Now, there's a second scenario that I wanted to go through to show you that from time to time, things are going to come up and I may not be able to attend that on-site appointment for today. So Deb, in this case, I'm going to start travel again, but something's going to come up, whether it's an emergency or an issue that arises that requires me to cancel that appointment before I've been able to arrive on site. In this case, once I've started travel, I have the ability to come in here and at any point in time, click the cancel button. Now, of course, not only do I want Deb to get an alert that lets her know that our appointment has not been set up and needs to be rescheduled, it also gives me the ability to send her a communication. And here in the new mobile app, we've also added the ability to set up log note templates. So rather than having to type that message in, I can just select my template for canceling on-site appointments, and it'll actually fill in all the details that I need to send to Deb to let her know that our appointment has been canceled and that our office will be reaching out to reschedule a time. You'll also notice that it automatically filled in Deb's name, so she'll get an email copy as well as this message, which can be sent as a text to our customer, letting them know that the appointment has been canceled. Now, again, I can come back into the job and either tomorrow or whenever we reschedule that appointment, start that process over again. Now, at this point in time, those are the two key scenarios that we can be tracking in regards to how the on-site application works. The next thing I want to talk about is how all this information actually gets set up in your PSA system. And so the first thing I want to take a look at is an aspect that you may not be utilizing today, which is the employee photo that sits within our employee tab in our relationships. And this is something that can be found simply by going into the relationships in PJM and going to our internal staff to take a look at all of our employees in the system. In here, once I bring up my employees, I can simply find the employee that I want to drill into. And as I come into this record, it will now show an image available for me to attach to my employee. Again, this image can be anything, but obviously the intention of this image is to make sure that it's a picture of my employee so that the customer can see who's headed on site to their job. And in addition to this, we'll need to make sure that our employee has the correct information set up for their mobile number and email address so they can be getting alerts and emails as well. The company logo is something that we again can set up and define for each organization that wants to turn this on. And again, this should be a logo for your company so that underneath my employee photo, it'll show me the company logo in which I'm being dispatched from. The next piece that I talked about revolves around our mobile numbers. Both the customer and our technician or PM or estimator has to have the mobile number defined in the system. And as a company, you can define the default contact method that you want to set up. In my case, I have it set to our mobile number. You may want to call that cell. You may want to call that Proven OnSite number. Whatever you want to do to set it up, we can simply go into our company settings, click on the brand new Proven OnSite tab, and it's going to ask us which default contact method to use for Proven OnSite. And this can be any of the available methods that you have in the system today. In addition to this, for those of you who are not taking advantage of log note templates, now that we've pushed the mobile templates onto your device, it's even more important to make sure that a lot of these standardized messages that we have, whether that's an introductory message, an alert for the appointment being canceled, or maybe a follow-up that we send at the end for survey results, these can all be set up as log note templates. And if you need assistance getting log note templates set up, you can always reach out to our training team and they can help you get started. The other piece that's important is the log note topics. So you may have noticed that back on our job, each of the topics that have come in from Proven OnSite have been labeled as such. In here, you can see that any alert that comes from Proven OnSite will have the Proven OnSite label as default. This can be changed by your company. The job feedbacks and the text messaging are all hard-coded into the system. And the reason we did it this way is it makes it a lot easier for a company to pull a report on note topics revolving around job feedback than it would be if we let each person define their own topic in the system. Once we have that initial setup done, the next piece that we have to talk about is the number that both the customer and our technician will receive from the mobile app. Now, as PSA, we are working with a vendor known as Twilia that will handle all of the incoming and outgoing text messages as a third party. The process of getting this set up means that each company that we work with, we need to make sure that we purchase a company number in which all of these text messages will be funneled into your office. Now, the process of picking this number out does allow us to find a specific area code that we can purchase that number. And we'll let each company determine how they want that number formatted. Much like picking a brand new cell phone number, we are limited as to the digits that precede the area code, but it's something that if the number exists and you want a specific number and we can find it, we may be able to find additional numbers after the area code as well. The additional setup that's required is also making sure that our customers and our technicians have the proper information added before we start sending these alerts out, and that we have the proper role security defined for our employees and our technicians. And you will find the role security underneath a new section under roles, which is called Proven OnSite. This piece is critical in making sure that we can have our employees send out those status updates. Simply by coming in here under our jobs, you'll now see there's a new section called Proven OnSite, and we'll want to make sure that that role security has been turned on before we start sending this out. In addition to this, once we have this information set up, the next part that we need to be very clear about starts with the customer expectations. Again, the customer has never used this system before, nor do they understand how Proven OnSite works. So as part of a training process, both from our perspective and for your staff, we want to explain to the customer that they're going to be getting a text message, probably from a number they won't recognize, but that this text message is indeed from our company and will keep them up to date on those status changes. It'll also give them the opportunity to text us freely from within the app or even directly from the SMS window itself. And by setting these expectations, it just allows the customer for a more seamless experience once they start getting the alerts from our team. Internally, we also want to make sure that we're keeping our staff informed and up to date on what they need to do in order to make sure that the app is properly set up and that they're able to communicate with the customer both online and off. And for those users who are not currently using our mobile app, there will be messages that you see popping up on your mobile device as soon as you download the new version of our app. These messages will now indicate that SmartTech Mobile can run in the background, even when you're not looking at the interface itself. And so it's critical that we make sure that our technicians and our employees accept the ability for our app to run in the background, especially if we want to make sure our customer can see us driving to the job site. And we should be clear, the app itself will not be tracking their movements while they're not within the PSA app, or if they're not starting travel to a customer site, so they don't have to worry about us wondering what they're doing at 2 o'clock on a Saturday morning. This will simply be a way for our customer to see how far away they are from the job site, and will also allow us to share text messages and alerts even while the app is running in the background. Now, we looked at the 4 different statuses of Proven OnSite, and each one of these statuses will send the customer a unique text message with information as to what this status means. The first simply indicates to the customer that the tech is on their way, and it will even name the technician in the text message saying Ryan Pritchard is on their way to the job site. Click the link below to gain access to this information. And not only will it send them the SMS message, it provides the link directly underneath. Once our technician arrives, the indication that our tech is on site will also send another message indicating that we've arrived on site, whether the customer's there to greet us or not. And of course, once the work is completed, it will indicate that we've finished the work on site and will allow the customer to provide feedback on our interactions together. Again, this will also help promote an audit trail in the system. So if any customer disputes or agent or adjuster disputes the fact that we were on site at that date and time, this audit trail will provide date and timestamps for each one of these alerts as we move them through the system. And of course, if anything comes up that requires us to cancel that notification, that cancellation message not only comes with an SMS alert, it also comes with an email formalizing our apology that we had to cancel our appointment for today, but that someone in our office will reach out to reschedule that on-site visit. Now, for those of you who were unable to see Deb's phone, once our technician hit that start travel, you'll see that Deb actually received a message indicating who I am, the office that I'm coming from, or the company name, and that the link below can be selected to view the information on where I am. You will then open up the link to see Proven OnSite. Our truck will then start to drive as the technician drives towards the site, and the ETA will update along with the ability for our customer to text either in this center window right from the SMS message or by clicking the text me at the top part of our screen. Once we've moved to arrived, we'll then be able to send another alert via text message indicating that our technician has arrived, allowing us to continue our text message communication back and forth, and indicating that we are indeed on site for that appointment. The completed application will allow us to not only send a link, allowing Deb to see that our on-site visit has been finalized, it'll allow them to rate our service and provide context to that rating that will not only indicate that they can now leave feedback, but will also thank them once their feedback has been received. And of course, if we need to cancel, This information, again, will go to our customer both as a text message alert, as well as a detailed email confirming that we need to reschedule that appointment. Now, gathering feedback, again, can come directly back into our job. So for even the users that are not using our CRM today, you'll be able to pull a log note report based on all of the job feedback topics you've gotten from your customers, indicating the job and the feedback with the star rating. And on the CRM side, if you are using the CRM, we'll now start to be pulling statistics on all of your employees and giving you an average star rating from all of the feedback that you've received over the time or course of using Proven OnSite. And again, the date and time criteria can be adjusted, so I can see just the reviews for this week, this month, this quarter, or maybe of all time, to get a general understanding of how we're improving our customer experience over the long enough timeline. And the feedback that we get will automatically update PJM. So whether you're using CRM or not, these notes can come directly back into your system, indicating date, time, and user, as well as being able to share these notes with systems like Exact Analysis and Claim Connect if we change that visibility to public, allowing us to show true transparency on the interactions we've had with our customer and the feedback we've collected on each of those interactions. That'll cover it for our presentation for today, introducing Proven OnSite. I'm now going to open it up to question and answer from the audience, as well as starting with the chat box of the information that we've gotten back so far. In here, the first question I get is from Jessica. Why are texts opposite all, or does it say opposite all platforms are always you on right and receiver on left? I'm not quite sure why it's like that. I mean, from a standpoint of being able to show the communications back and forth, I assume we could probably flip that around. If that becomes an issue where the customer needs to be on the left side or the technician needs to be on the right, that's actually the first time I've even heard that feedback, but maybe you can give some context as to how that needs to actually be displayed from a customer and technician perspective. Jason writes,
just one comment, Ryan.
Sure.
Jessica, on my end, on my phone, my messages are on the right and Ryan's to me are on the left.
So it is flipped from the customer's perspective, is what you're saying, Deb.
Correct.
Perfect. Jason writes, I noticed that not all of our templates were pushed to the mobile app. Is there a reason for that? Yes. There are certain templates that we do not have information in the mobile app that may be linked to your log note template, whether that's financial information or certain key details that we are not currently showing on the mobile. So if you have a log note template that contains fields that are not available on the mobile app, that's why those templates are not showing up. Can we link the reviews directly to Yelp, Google, or Facebook? Now, this is a question that's coming from Craig Cooper, and it's not the first time I've heard this question. And certainly from our perspective, it would be easy to share all of the feedback that we gather from Proven OnSite directly into our Google API, which we already are a part of. The challenge is when we started to investigate this and really start to ask questions back to the customers, we said, would you be okay automatically sending every single review for every single appointment directly to your Google without being able to review it first? And unanimously, most people said, no, I don't want to just send everything flooding into my Google. And again, for good reason, you may get bad reviews or you may get context that you don't want to push. And so from our perspective, it's not just about should we link those reviews to Google, it's how do we review those so that if a customer wants to select specific reviews or have it all or none, these are options that we have to discuss as to how that information will sync across. because anyone who's ever tried to dispute a Google review will know once that review's in there, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to get those reviews out. I have another question from M. Smits that said, what are the fees associated to get this Twilia number? So from a standpoint of the number purchase, we actually cover that at the Can-Am side. I think it's like $1 a month to actually purchase the number per customer. So that would be part of your current subscription fee. The other fees that are associated to that Twilio number are basically the usage of text messaging. So right now, the usage fees, which I can publish at the end of this class, are for every 100 text messages, we charge you $8, which is a usage fee that's not monthly, but simply based on whenever you use those first 100 text messages, it will then charge you $8 and another 100 credits will be applied to your account. How does this apply to a job that will last beyond one visit? And this is coming from Dwayne. And so the answer is that that job, until that job is closed, we can continue to do the same process on this exact same job day in and day out. It does not lock down the ability for us to have that interaction with the customer day over day over day. And once that job is closed, we can restrict people from actually starting travel or even moving to that job site once the job has been locked down. The next question from Jason, can we use the same platform for repair jobs? Also, can we use those texts between customers and estimators to be logged into PJM? And the answer is yes. It is not specific to emergencies or same-day appointments. This can apply to any job type, and anyone in your office who wants to alert the customer that they're on the way. The only caveat to this is that, one, you need to make sure that the employee is set up in PJM. Two, you need to make sure that they have their mobile number on their account and a photo listed for that position. It does not have to be technician related. It could be PMs, coordinators, the general manager if you wanted to. They can all be set up and they can all use Proven OnSite. Rachel asks, what happens if an employee is already on a chat with a customer and another employee is also arriving at their home and connects? So the way the system works today is that the reason that we are tying all of this to a Twilio number is because I could have 4 employees all going to the same job site, and each one of those employees will send a separate link to the customer to click on. So I can see when Ryan's headed, I can see when John's headed, I can see when Tom's headed, and I can communicate with each one of those technicians independently. The steps seem to apply to one visit. So again, this is a follow-up question from Dwayne. So the process of starting travel, arriving, and completing are in regards to a single visit. But when that process ends and we've completed that visit, I could run through the exact same stages in the system and go through that again. So if we go back to our stages in Proven OnSite, this process is not related to a job being completed. It's related to a single appointment being completed. So each day that I start travel is a new link that I send to that customer. And each day that I arrive is a new alert that I've arrived. And when I finish that appointment, I can complete that each day and get feedback on each of my interactions instead of just one feedback at the end of the job. Alana writes, is there an option to just have the text feature for the customer and tech to communicate, or do you have to have the map feature as well? Well, they're connected into the same app, although again, from a perspective of the customer utilizing that, they can text back and forth from the SMS window if they wanted to and never click on the link. But it is built into the app so that they get visibility to see where your technician is in conjunction to their site. Mirka writes, is it possible that I don't see Proven OnSite in the company settings? Yes, it is definitely possible because this is a feature that we have to turn on the support side in order for you to see the new settings. Jessica writes, what if several people are going to the same place? Won't the customer get an influx of alerts and be confused? Yes, they will get a series of alerts, but each one will be unique to that person who's coming on site. So again, if we go to that start travel window, in here, they're actually going to get a message that says Ryan Pritchard, this link. Tom Linden, this link. So again, if we have multiple people and you choose to have each one of them send the customer the link, that's how that works today. If we have a policy where not everybody needs to send an alert to the customer that they're heading, that's something that we can discuss as a process for training to say, instead of bombarding our customer with alerts, maybe we just send the lead as the message that comes in. The next message that we have in, is there an additional cost for you to turn on Proven OnSite settings for us to start using the system? So for those companies that are not using the CRM, there is a base rental charge for Proven OnSite to be turned on, and it's $60 a month. It is not based on user. It is a $60 flat fee, and that allows us to then set up all your employees to be using Proven OnSite. If you're already using our CRM, it's included in the subscription fee for PJM and CRM, and so you're only charged the usage fees at that point in time. Jessica mentions, you mentioned that this map thing is more towards single visits. In this industry, is it rare to have that? It is almost always multiple visits. And so keep in mind, this is the first iteration of Proven OnSite, but if we decide in certain situations that we need to have a single pin and 5 trucks all coming towards that one pin, it would be something that would be easy for our team to modify. The idea here is we want to make the experience for the customer as seamless as possible. And so it's certainly something that I think we could discuss further, not only with the users, but with the user group, and come up with a solution that I think will work for everyone. Do we have the option to not send the feedback after every visit, just at the completion of the mitigation job? Today, it's based on the completion of the visit. So it cannot be turned off. Although again, from a standpoint of the customer, whether they fill it out or not is a whole other thing. From my perspective, there's no such thing as too much feedback. And as I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation today, it's not about getting feedback on the overall job. It's about getting feedback on the interactions that we have with the customer. So not only can we evaluate that everything that has transpired has gone smoothly, but it also allows us to evaluate our employees to see how they're being rated from a customer perspective overall. Is there a way to set a lead with the teams assigned so that it will let them know that X, Y, and Z are on the way to the site? Currently, it's a one-to-one relationship. So if your PM wants to notify, your tech wants to notify, your estimator, it's all one-to-one. All right, I think those were all the chat box questions, and we're actually pretty close to our 45-minute completion. If there are any more questions, or if I wasn't able to address all of your questions on our Lunch and Learn for today, I do encourage you guys to reach out to our support center or to reach out to our sales team, and we'd be happy to walk you through this process with your team and showing them how that system works. If you need any, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
There was just one more. Allison wrote, I think you just missed it. It's you're switching off. If the job has more than one mobile number on PJM.
I'm not sure what the question is. I'll have to probably ask Allison afterwards.
Okay, perfect.
All right, well, thank you again for coming out today and going through the Proven OnSite introduction. If there are any questions, please let us know. We'd be happy to answer those with you offline. Thanks again for your time and have a great day.